Good evening, everybody, and are we fired up tonight?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we're fired up.
Absolutely. Who am I?
It is
Absolutely,
the opening night of
positively.
the NFL. Yay! I'm going to introduce my cast. Down underneath my little window here is Mr. Ralph Williams. Hello, Ralph. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Candy. Thank you.
And next to him is another one of my co-hosts, Jeremy Smokin' B.
What's up, Candy? How are you? How are you, Scott and Ralph?
Doing fine.
Escaped their survived the fire today. So
Awesome.
Hey, better to come out escape than having to remove.
yeah.
And we have a special guest on tonight's episode of Fire Up, but most of you know him from most of the shows he runs and hosts. It is none other than my husband, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. How are you, Scott?
Oh, Candy, it's great to be with you, Jeremy and Ralph, tonight. It's good that you're in the hosting it instead of me. All I got to do is just sit back and do what I do best and hope to not lose my voice, but I think we'll manage to make it work.
I should make you produce, because normally you make me produce when you host.
Oh, no, you want it done right. You don't have me produce anything. You know, how
He
much you doing?
produces enough, Candy. Don't let him produce.
I don't produce. All I do is produce controversy. Seriously?
Well, wait.
And energy.
It's the guys in the chat that produce the controversy.
Well,
you just
that's
put those
true.
fires out.
Yeah, that's true. Good point there, Jeremy. Yeah. Sometimes
Scott,
the chat room does tend to be a bit on the interesting side, to say the least. So go ahead, Candy. What are you going to say?
You also produce the book that's in the corner and right next to you over your shoulder.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of that thing. And part 2 will be coming out, early next year. I'm going to be working on part 2. Probably, I want to say November, December. I'm trying to get the sports cycle done this year. And, this one will be the good, the bad, and the ugly before we were giving acknowledgments. But, when you have to add a little more hay to make it real, you never know who's going to get in there. But I know you and obviously Candy, Ralph, and Jeremy will be in. Anybody's guess who's going to make it after that. So, but yeah, with all due respect, though, it is nice to be on your show. I'm proud of the job that Candy does, Ralph and Jeremy. It's really my night off, but every now and then, I don't mind popping in from time to time because, hey, I don't want to be referred to as the boss, but Jeremy does a good job referring me to that, so I'll accept it.
Okay.
But without this platform, I'm nothing. I got to have a great supporting cast, and I'm thankful for all the shows that we have on that I'm able to go ahead and do exactly that. Robert Wardell, when the digital version is, I've got a lady from my Toastmasters group that volunteered to do it. She wasn't at the meeting last time, but I'm going to hopefully see her. But Robert, continue to ask, and I'll do everything in my power, buddy, to go out there and get it out. Thank you very much. It's good to see you again, pal. It really is. I'm glad that you're staying with us, and I'm making some major changes across the network to make a lot of the shows better, Robert. Great to see you tonight. Thanks for giving us part of your Thursday.
So we're going to start the show out with what I introduced last week as the new segment. My new segment is Did You Know? And so I'm going to ask you guys all, and I think the first part of the question you guys will all get. I'm not sure you'll get the second part of it. So tell me, what is the oldest NFL stadium in the league right now?
Soldier Field, I believe.
I was going to say Lambeau, but Jeremy beat me with Soldier.
Soldier Field turns 100 this year.
Wow.
The next part of my question, though, is what stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
That would probably be the Green Bay Packers because they've never moved.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the chat room. All right, Joshua, Scotty, Slapper, and Smoking Jay are united. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Joshua, don't feel too bad, buddy, about the stadiums. that you didn't know because a lot of people don't. So you're good. Las Vegas
Las
Stadium.
Vegas Stadium is the newest.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's one we're going to have to get to, Joshua Dorf. Good stuff, pal. Good to have you on tonight.
It is good to have people in the chat room. We love it. We love it. We feed off them, especially on our show.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
So,
but we are up against opening night of football.
Big deal.
We
I
are.
don't care. None of that
We are.
phases me. We got people giving us updates all day long. I don't care what night. It's our night. That's all that matters.
So tonight is the opening night of the NFL, yes, and it is featuring Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City. Kansas City is at home. They are both tied right now, 7-7 in the first.
And Ravens are punting the ball.
Yes, they are.
Now your wild card for the Ravens all year will be Derrick Henry. Anyways, you talk about a big pickup. That was definitely one of them. Go ahead, Candy. I know it's your deal.
Yep,
that is true. So tell me, guys, let's make some predictions because we're gonna, let's face it, it's an NFL game tonight. It's NFL season. We've all craved this season. So who do you have coming out of let's break it down by division. Who do you want? Which division you want to start with, guys?
Why don't we just go east and around the clock, clockwise? East,
okay.
South, West, North, and go in that order for both AFC and NFC.
Okay. So go ahead, start us off, Jeremy.
NFC East, I've got the Eagles winning. I got the Cowboys regressing. No Michael Gallup. CD is out this week. If you expect them to go into Cleveland and win with that defense, you bumped your head because they've got the AARP running back room with two 29-year-olds between Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook.
All right, let me ask you a question. Did you get that AARP running back room watching my show on Inside the Big
No, I've been saying it for a week straight.
Well, I said it on Tuesday night. Well,
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, no, I did.
GMTA.
Yeah, right. There you go. Great minds. I like it when he steals all my lines because he's been around me long enough that I probably brainwashed him a little bit.
And in the AFC East, until somebody knocks them off the pedestal last year, you got to stick with the Ravens. They're looking good going up against the Super Bowl champs right now.
That's the AFC North. Ravens are in the North.
East. I'm going to say Jets if Aaron Rodgers stay healthy. If not, it'll be the Dolphins. I see the Bills falling off.
Okay.
Yeah. At NFC North, I see the Cowboys probably and the Eagles. The Eagles have to win this year. Nick Sirianni's under a lot of pressure. If they don't go to the Super Bowl, he's fired. I think New York Giants, I think Brian DeBoer is under some pressure as well. And Dallas, it looks like they could probably be the team. And the Washington Commanders, we don't know what to expect from Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury there with a rookie quarterback and Jalen Samuels. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, Scott, how do you feel?
All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's break down the divisions. Which one are we going to start first with, Jeremy?
NFC and AFC East.
All right, the NFC East, I am going to go with Philadelphia. I agree with you. Dallas is going to regress. Mike McCarthy will be out of a job at the end of the year. He's a lame duck coach. Give me another division. Which one?
AFC East.
AFC East. There's no way I'm going with the Miami Dolphins until they prove that they can go out there and win in December and January. This fish will be like ice fishing, okay? Because that's what they do when it comes to those months. I'm going to stick with the Buffalo Bills, if for no other reason, the quarterback, Josh Allen, okay? And then we'll see what's what. So give me another division. Just list the divisions for me.
Wait. I don't think Ralph did AFC.
No, I didn't do the AFC East. I agree with Scott. I think the Bills are it. I think the Jets are overrated with Aaron Rodgers. I don't see him doing anything there. The Patriots, we don't know what to expect from them, although they have offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. We'll see where the offense goes this year. And the Dolphins, like Scott said, they have to win towards the end of the season. They can't choke in games. And we're going to find out where Miami goes this year. But I'm taking the Bills like Scott.
Okay, keep going with the
Okay.
division, Jeremy. Help me out a little bit.
All right, NFC South, I still say it's a toss-up between the Falcons and Bucks. The Falcons added a lot of firepower, but the Bucks are the best roster in the division, and they didn't lose a lot. So I think it's coming down to between them. And in the AFC South, I think it's going to be the Texans again because they added to that already powerful offense and defense.
Yeah, you know what? I believe you're on target with both of those. Number one, I like what Houston is doing down there. They're a team that came out of nowhere a year ago with CJ Stroud, and they have a young coach who's going to considerably get better. And as far as the NFC South, there's no doubt I'm going with the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield got a new contract. They have essentially a lot of the same personnel offensively, and I like Todd Bowles. Everybody get on his case, but this guy's a pretty good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you
I
think?
think
Ralph?
it's at the NFC South. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay because Atlanta, Carolina are first-year coaches, and I don't see them doing anything. And then the New Orleans Saints. I've never been sold on Dennis Allen.
Right.
He stunk when he was the coach in Oakland. So I mean, so I think so anyway. But I think that it's going to be the Buccaneers, even if they're 9-8. I think they're still going to go to playoffs like they did last year.
Hey Ralph,
So,
I didn't think you had it in you. Oakland? Seriously?
Oakland.
I like it.
Oh,
Boy,
I like it, man. Hey, Williams, there might be hope for you. Hey, Williams, let me tell you something, man. There might be hope. There might be hope for you in the broadcasting business after all, because we're going to call Ralph. So here, we got a new name here on Fire Up tonight. Ralph Joklin Williams. Okay, so
That's right.
Here, you know what, Jeremy, put it in the chat room right now. Ralph Joklin, Joakland Williams is a new name. Okay, and if you bother to trademark it, do anything with it, that's okay. That's a freebie from me since you bought the book. So there you go.
Yeah.
Ralph Joklin Williams. There we go.
We have a community in Pittsburgh called Oakland, and I call it Joklin.
Got my buddy Michael Johnson joining in. He's a Vikings fan that comes on my NFL Roundtable Talks.
Hey, Jeremy, you have to spell it Joakland.
I like Jokeland.
I know you do, but do it like I told you to do.
Okay, fine. You didn't tell me how to spell it.
Oh, that doesn't matter. We can put it up there twice. We're all having a good old time anyways. What's the difference?
We'll spell it
I agree with the AFC South on the Texans. I think the Colts, we'll see what second-year coach Shane Steichen does. Jaguars, they might be close. It's going to be between the Texans and the Jaguars, I believe. The Titans, they have a new coach. I don't know where they're going to go, so we'll see.
Okay, so Jeremy, let's go NFC West.
NFC West, until somebody knocks them off the pedestal, it's the 49ers, especially since they got both deals done with Ayuk and Trent Williams over this past week. I don't see anybody beating them. And with the MASH unit that the Rams O-line has over the next 4 weeks, they're going to struggle at the start of the season.
And the AFC West?
It's the Chiefs until somebody knocks them off their pedestal, and I don't see a team in that division good enough to do it.
Okay, Ralph, you?
Cardinals, I don't know about them. The Rams, as Jeremy said, they got a lot of injuries, and then they got Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always in the medical tent. They have him there. And then the Seahawks have a new coach. So it's the 49ers. It's as simple as that. That's a no-brainer right there. As far as the AFC West goes, Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers, I look at the Chiefs, and then the Chargers might sneak up in there. Jim Harbaugh wins everywhere he goes. So I think it's going to be the Chargers and the Chiefs. And I believe the Broncos are going to regress in the Raiders. I don't know what to expect from them yet. We're going to see.
I actually don't expect the Broncos to regress that much, because one thing I can tell you about Bo Nix as a quarterback, he's had a different OC every year he was in college, and every year he improved as a quarterback. So he's used to that struggle of learning a new system every damn year. And we know OC is one of those positions that can change on a dime in the NFL.
Tell me about it. I've seen enough of that over the years to definitely justify what you're talking about, for sure.
Okay, Scott, so you, NFC West?
NFC West, there's no doubt you got to go with the 49ers.
Yeah.
It's really hard to go against them. You know what? I'm going to call it a toss-up, actually. I'm going to call it a toss-up between the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Okay.
I am. I'm going to call it a toss-up. I'm going to go 1A and 1B. Fair enough?
Okay. So, Jeremy, the NFC North, the Norris division.
Until they're knocked off their pedestal. It's the Lions and the Packers and the Bears and the Vikings. End of story. And in the AFC North, it's Ravens, and then it's a toss-up for second place because all those teams are good defensively. I don't care what anybody says about the offenses. Defenses win championships.
Okay.
Ralph?
Ralph?
It's the way it's been for years anyways. I don't know why anybody...
All right, I agree with Jeremy at this point. The Packers and the Lions, Vikings, I don't know. They're in there are a lot of guys in the medical tent there. And then the Bears, well, we know what the Bears are, so forget that. But anyway, that's that. And then in the AFC North, if I'm a homer, Steelers are going to take the division. But being not a homer, Cincinnati and the Ravens look pretty good this year, and Cleveland will regress with Deshaun Watson.
Okay, Scott?
All right. No, I'll go with the Lions for sure, but I'm not going to give it an overwhelming prediction here. I need to make sure that Dan Campbell and the rest of this group here realizes that they're being hunted now, and they're not a secret anymore. I think they'll still be awfully good, and I do believe they can win the division yet again. The Packers were coming on strong and made a great run to get to the playoffs. The Bears are much better than most people think, and the Vikings, well, I don't know. That's all I can tell you.
Well,
now, go ahead.
I'm going to give you an update on the game. After trading punts back and forth, Lamar and the Ravens just fumbled the ball back to the Chiefs.
Okay, well, that's fine. No problem.
Good. I hope he fumbles against the Steelers.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't go that far. Don't push it down. Steelers remind me of Abbott and Costello. They don't know who's on first, what's on second, but their quarterback.
I don't know who's on third.
Yeah, they won't even know either when you think about it. But I'll give the Ravens the benefit of the doubt to win that division. Anyways, again, I'm a Harbaugh guy, whether it's John or Jim, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so now I want you guys to pick a sleeper team that you think people really need to watch out for. And instead of breaking it down, just one from the AFC and one from the NFC. Some sleeper team that you think could creep up and maybe get into the playoffs, maybe even go to the Super Bowl that we aren't projecting.
One team that I see out of the AFC, even though they have a new coach, they have a nice nucleus of a good defense. It's the Titans that could possibly squeak in as a wild card team. And in the NFC, I'm going to go, much as I hate to say it, if Caleb Williams is 50% of the hype he's received coming into the season, they'll make the playoffs.
Okay. Ralph, how about you?
Well, in the AFC, I think the Colts might sneak in there if Richardson stays healthy and Shane Steichen can have a second year, a decent second year, and not have second year blues like some other new coaches. As far as the NFC goes, I think the Washington Commanders might be able to with Dan Quinn and the guys there. I'd be interested to see his second stint as a head coach. I think he might sneak up in there somewhere and be in a wild card. That could happen.
Yes, it could. Scott, what about you?
No, you know what, Joseph Olsen, I like where you're going with this one with the Colts. I really do. I mean, you know what? To me, this is a team where if the quarterback does stay healthy, well, let's not forget that the running back, Jonathan Taylor, is the guy that if he has a good year, and I mean a really good year, he'll gobble up a lot of yards. As for the NFC, I don't know why think I'm drinking the Bears Kool-Aid, but I am anyway. They have surrounded Caleb Williams with weapons, but they couldn't do it for Justin Fields. Give me a break, really?
The only caveat that I have to that, I hope they did enough on O-line to keep Caleb from having to run for his life.
Oh, no question about it, Jeremy. What do you think Justin Fields didn't only run for his life, he had to run out of town to go to Ralph's team, Pittsburgh. Seriously. Yeah. But
he might be starting this Sunday too, because Russell Wilson has a calf injury.
Well,
So.
Russell Wilson to me could go back to another MASH unit. And the fact is, I hear he's a low investment anyways. They didn't pay him a lot of money.
We only paid him $1 million, and thank you, Denver, because they're paying the rest of his salary.
All right, so what?
It's not just Denver paying him. He's on the last year of the guaranteed money from the Seahawks too. He's making $51 million.
So you know what? Here's the deal. You know who Russell Wilson reminds me of? Willie Taggart, the former Florida Atlantic University coach.
Yes.
He's getting paid from everybody on the planet. I think he's in the NFL.
Florida State too. He was with Florida State. He was their coach for a little bit.
Florida State, Oregon, yeah. So
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna call Willie Taggart the equivalent to Russell Wilson. Good stuff. Only on fire, by the way.
And I actually think the Colts might, as much as everybody says it's not, if Anthony Richardson gets hurt, they might be better off with Joe Flacco.
Well, we all saw what happened with Joe Flacco. Also, a note I should mention for Cleveland, for those out there that haven't heard it yet, Andrew Siciliano will be the new play-by-play guy for the Cleveland Browns, just so you know.
Oh, that's cool.
And
wow. Whoa. I like Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's a good announcer. He obviously worked with the NFL Network for a lot of years, substituted last year, and they feel like he's the ideal fit. And I'm happy for Andrew Siciliano that he is going to be the new play-by-play broadcaster for the Browns. So more power.
Wow. Good for him. Yes.
The only reason I'm going the way I'm going in the divisions is look at the over-unders all the way around. Right now, they have the over-under for the Bucs and the Falcons exactly the same at 9.5 wins. They have the over-under for the Lions at 11.5 wins, the Packers at 9.5 wins. They have the over-under in the West. I'm sorry, it's still 49ers at 11.5, and the Rams are a game below them at 10.5. You have to look at those over-unders. And they gave the Eagles and Cowboys the same over and under. And if I'm a betting man, I'm doing a 2-leg parlay in the NFC East, and I'm taking Eagles on the over and Cowboys on the under, because when they lose at Cleveland, it'll be their first of 10 losses.
Wow.
Makes sense.
So Bears going to be looking for a new coach next year in
yes.
If they don't make the playoffs, I agree with that.
Well, you know what? Wait a minute. Let's back up on that one a little bit. If they can win 8, 9, 10 games, whether they make the playoffs, I think Eberflus survives another year. I'm not talking about playoffs. I'm talking about improvement. There's a difference between playoffs and improvement. Because the last thing you want to do is continue to change coaches during a quarterback's development. How many times have we seen that? So I'm looking for improvement. Yes, are they striving for playoffs? Of course, everybody is right now. But I don't know about. But it's possible. The NFL coaching jobs turn up all the time, and there's always going to be a Black Monday, and there might be a surprise to you. Just never know.
Okay, so my next topic, I want you to pick one, and I'm saying one game that you are most looking forward to this weekend, whether it be college or NFL, but only one. Ralph. I know.
The game I'm looking forward to is the Green Bay Eagles game down there in Rio de Janeiro or Brazil or wherever they're at. I'm interested to see how that game's going to go. That's the one I'm looking at.
Sao Paulo, brother. Rio's got all the bikinis, and Sao Paulo has the crime.
Yeah, they didn't.
I thought it was in Rio de Janeiro. Sorry.
They didn't want to have 106 paternity cases if they went to Rio.
Exactly. Exactly.
Despite the fact I stopped talking about Pitt, I'm interested to see what they're going to do against Cincinnati this week at Cincinnati. They lost last year at home, and Cincinnati had the same record. The Bearcats had the same record that Pitt had. So we're going to see what happens there.
Wait a minute. I said one.
Oh, one? Okay, that's fine.
That's okay. Jeremy, what one?
Wait a minute now. The external bum here is trying to push the system a little bit. You can't get away with that on this show.
All right. You know who it is. You see my allegiance and where it lies right here. It's Rams versus Lions, the wild card rematch. And even though it's a O-line mashup, and I expect even if it goes bad, the Lions win on Sunday, I'm excited to see what this new secondary looks like versus some good wide receivers.
Okay. Our guest, Scott, what one game are you most looking forward to?
One game these two guys wouldn't even think of talking about. The one that I'm interested in is the one I'm covering, and that's going to be the Miami Hurricanes against Florida A&M Rattlers. Why would I do that? Because Miami, of course, Candy and I had covered it last week, went out there and crushed the Gators is what they did in Gainesville. What an electric atmosphere. Now I want to make sure that the Canes come back strong and don't feel that this particular game against Florida A&M is a trap game in terms of what they're doing. And I love what Coach Mario Cristobal is doing. Most people would think in my older days would be Michigan, Texas. Yeah, it's an intriguing game, but I'm going to lean more towards Miami and Florida A&M. I say what you want, but when I see a team progress year in and year out, and I see you have a guy like Mario Cristobal who knows this area real well, and all these guys are getting on his case, I would tell these people when I went on many shows, shut up, give this guy an opportunity to win here, because all he's done is win everywhere else he's gone. So Miami and Florida A&M, I'm going to go with that.
Wow, I'm surprised. I thought for sure you would say Michigan, Texas.
That was the old Scott. This is a different Scott. I have a different U of M that I'm working with. There's perception and reality. But yeah, like I said, that's the game. I'll be recording it anyways. But, I really am into the Canes. This is one thing that I live for because I really love covering this program in a lot of different ways. And few people realize they've only won 5 national championships and produced a ton of pro players. So, again, Candy, when you come on the show, you don't bring only the boss. You bring a guy on here that obviously, and I'm just kidding with the boss thing. It's all fun. The guy want to say it. I ride with it. But let's face reality. The guy that wants to cover sporting events is not out of my system yet. God only knows when it ever will be, because I like being a part of it all. So if I surprise
you mentioned the game, I'm going to give my one comment on it, because you remember last year we played a cupcake in week 1 for Michigan, and J.J. McCarthy looked awful. He threw 3 picks in that game. We had the same vanilla offense we had then, because I think that was the vanilla offense that Sharon Moore used to hide it for a better opponent. And This Warren kid actually did pretty good and didn't throw a pick. So when you think about that, J.J. McCarthy was just a first-round pick because he won a national championship. This kid looked more poised in his first start as a Michigan quarterback than J.J. McCarthy looked after going into his 3rd season.
But Jeremy, it's funny how you mentioned it, because I was reading up on it. I think this is his 6th year with the program, and he's been dealing with a lot of medical issues and just kind of hanging in there. So you know what? Right. I'm glad you brought the guy up. I read if everybody knows how much time I spend on my phone because I'm reading up on this stuff, it's part of what I have to do anyway. But you know what? You're right. I mean, you're bringing in a new guy like Sharon Moore. Not a new guy, but he is. Okay, because now he is the head coach. Okay, and you bring in a guy like this who's been around 6 years. That means he knows the system. He does. And you know what? For all you Michigan detractors that think the NCAA going to pile on, you know what? You can only pile on so much. They're not losing the national championship, because the college football playoff is going to make sure no, they didn't. They played this game and they won decisively with both. So I won't get into any NCAA talk. But you're right. I'm looking forward to seeing it, whether it's DVR or I'm there yet. But it'll be a pretty interesting situation to see how it plays out. But yeah, Candy, if I surprised you, well, so what? It's good stuff, because obviously I like being where, I'm heavily involved with what I have to do.
Okay. And those, anyone watching the Chiefs game, I think most of us have it on. It is in the background for me. It's what's the score? 10-7?
10-7 Kansas City.
10-7 Kansas City.
Yep.
Yes.
Watching from Puerto Vallarta restaurant. and put
There
it
you
to
go.
the Ravens. Ouch, that just hurt. You must have just stopped him again, or he threw a pick.
I am going to throw all of you for a loop because I did not prep you guys with any of the topics.
Oh, they went for it
But
on fourth down and got brought down by Trent McDuffie.
Trying to get a job as a color analyst or a play-by-play guy.
Why
What you're
not?
trying to do? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
You got.
my
You're on
audition.
tape. Yeah, there you go. I was about to say that. You know
So-
what, Ballrick? You're scaring me a little bit. I rubbed off on you too much. Seriously, good stuff.
okay. So my question is, have you guys heard who is going to be on as celebrities Dancing with the Stars this season?
I pay attention to Celebrity to the Stars as much as I do The Bachelor or Bachelorette. So no, I haven't heard.
So Anna Delvey, who is her real name is Anna Sorkin, is one of the stars. She gained notoriety for posing as a wealthy German heiress and used her social standings to defraud wealthy people, banks, and hotels. She was arrested back in 2017 and convicted of grand larceny in the first, second, and third degree, as well as theft of services. Her sentence included 4 to 12 years in prison, which she was cut short when she was released in February of 2021 for good behavior. But she has been living under house arrest in New York City while she's trying to fight a deportation case.
Wow.
She is going to compete with the bracelet around her ankle because she is still in house arrest at this point. So how do we feel about a celebrity being on Dances with the Stars that is wearing an ankle bracelet because she is under house arrest?
That'll be a first. Wow.
Let's see. That would be like me wanting Isaiah Buggs back on the Lions roster with the bracelet. Get out of here.
Well, you know what? I don't have a problem with it as long as if she wins, as long as she gives that money back to the people she ripped off. I don't care.
She has no regret about what she did and what
Doesn't
she
matter.
has. What I have read.
Get out of here.
Well, then send her all the way to the Bermuda Triangle, and usually when they go there, they don't come back.
I understand.
And by the way, Katie, you know when you do the hashtag, put Bermuda Triangle in there. I wonder how many times you'll ever get Bermuda Triangle in there.
I had to throw, something in there that you guys wouldn't have.
Since
Yes.
it is opening week of football, I bought this NFL book of trivia, and it's got some interesting tidbits in there. Who was the tallest wide receiver to ever play football in the NFL?
The tallest.
Ouija Thompson. He was 6'6".
Nope.
No, I'm going to take a stab at it. What is it?
Harvey Carmichael, 6'8", that played for the Eagles.
You mean
Wow.
Harold? You mean Harold
Henry.
Carmichael?
Harold, yeah, whatever. And
Yeah,
no, it's
right.
Carmichael.
All right, but here I helped you on the other half.
Yep.
It's Harold
You did.
Carmichael. Put the trivia book away. Once you get to a Carmichael, there's only one
And
Carmichael.
what the heck? I should just be on it and stuff. Joel Davis actually did dance in college and in high school. So, but at the
let me
same
ask you a
time,
question. Well, can I ask you a question? Who was the quarterback that threw to Harold Carmichael?
wasn't that Randall Cunningham?
Nope.
Ron Jaworski.
That's it. And who was the coach?
Jaws.
Who was the
Oh, it was Dick Vermeil.
Good.
Because that's when didn't they have when they got Papali off the streets at that time?
Yes.
Too?
Yep.
Good job, Ralph.
Thank you.
And how many, with the first pick overall, how many times in NFL history has a quarterback been taken since 1936?
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat your question.
With the first pick overall in the NFL draft, which started in 1936, how many times has a quarterback gone first overall?
100 times.
Nope.
Usually,
Nowhere near that.
Most people give you multiple choice questions on that.
No, it'd be
How about 50?
less than 50 and more than what Joseph Austin just said. How's
30,
that?
32.
Very close.
33.
Closer. It's 35. Everybody had their guess.
Wow.
35 times. And you want to know what's bad about that?
What?
Only 8 of them have made it of anything of note. The other 27 have been
Wow. That's sad.
But you know what, though? If you're going to go there, you know what I suggest you do? I suggest you talk about how many Heisman Trophy winners have won the whole thing, too. And I can tell you right now, not that many.
No, there was a lot that were busts in the first round.
Well, Hall of Fame, but I'm just telling you, believe it or not, Jim Plunkett won a Super Bowl, but he did it with the Raiders, not with the team that originally drafted with him. And that happened to be Jim Plunkett was with the New England Patriots back in the day.
And here's one other NFL factoid I want to throw out before we go on to the next one, Candy. Out of the last 3 seasons, rookie quarterbacks have combined for a record of 0-14-1 in week 1 of the NFL season.
That's a good footnote. I like that.
That's interesting.
So what do you think the odds are that one of them is going to get a win this week?
Somewhere between slim and 10%.
Okay. What do you got? Well, how many were drafted in the first round this year? I'm trying to remember.
Well, one's already injured, so he's out. You got Bo Nix,
Caleb Williams,
Caleb
Williams, JJ McCarthy. Yeah, exactly. There's 4. Yeah,
well, there's 4 left.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. That's a good. I like you throwing facts like out there. That makes people think a little bit. But see, I'm not really supposed to think a whole lot tonight because Candy's the host.
The only reason why I said something is for the gamblers out there in the chat and watching.
Right.
Make sure you realize this before you place money on a rookie quarterback to win a game.
Well, I will tell you, I've always had a firm believer that rookie quarterbacks should sit a minimum of 1 year anyways, period. I'll never back down from that. No way. Even Tom Brady went on record saying that they should do it. And Patrick Mahomes is a good illustration of why you should when he had Alex Smith. Andy Reid played that card as brilliantly as you can. And again, he's only one of 5 coaches that have won 3+ Super Bowls. So we'll figure.
All right. So
getting a lot of trivia, a lot of information, right, people? Go ahead. Candy.
Oh, yeah.
Ravens defense made a stop. They are getting ready to go for a field goal at 4th and 5 outside the red zone.
And they just
Nate Wiggins just broke up a big play on their first round wide receiver they took. So first round corner versus first round wide receiver, the corner wins.
Okay.
Well, the good news out of all this, at least they didn't leave points on the field, KC. So,
Right.
Well, Kansas City's got bigger things to worry about. You know what that is? Where they're going to play in 7 years. It's going to be Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, I think that's coming. I think it's going to be Missouri because
I think it's going to be Kansas City,
Kansas. Kansas City, Kansas, because Kansas City, Missouri is not wanting to fund any upgrades.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. We could get into that another time, but I just thought I was reading it tonight. And since we're talking Kansas City, it happens to be their big night. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw the numbers out here. The cost that the sales tax was rejected was $2 billion. And right now, the Kansas City, Kansas people have already said we got $3.5 billion raised for 2 stadiums. Go figure. I don't think it takes rocket scientists, whatever her name is, to figure it out, or any rocket scientist for that matter. They're headed to Kansas to join the NASCAR track that's out there. And I've been to both places too, Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. Although it wasn't much when I was out there before.
And also, Kansas City, Kansas is where the semi-pro soccer team that Pat Mahomes owns.
Well, there you go. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, guys. My town?
Sure. Who do you want to start?
So we are going to let our guest, Mr. Scott. What's happening in your town that you'd like to talk about?
You got Detroit or down there in your neck of the woods, whichever way you want to go.
Well, all right. I'm going to go my town. I got an idea with this one. We're going to have a little fun with this one. Okay. FAU is going to be playing Army this weekend over at FAU Stadium, and they're calling it Military Appreciation. And this is the first conference game for Army. So you know what? Hats off to Army and FAU as we acknowledge our military. That they're going to play this game and they're calling it Military Appreciation. I already gave it up the Miami one because I felt that was more important to what we were looking to do in terms of what Candy was asking. But I want to acknowledge FAU and Army. You know, Army is now in a conference, and you know what? We'll see what FAU is going to do under second-year coach Tom Herman. It's an important year for them up there in Boca.
Oh, Herman's there. Okay. I didn't know where he went. Okay.
Now you know. How much you learned tonight, Williams. Pretty good, right? Plus, you got a new nickname, Jokeland.
Okay, Ralph, what's happening in your town?
Well, I had a fire at my apartment building today. That's what's happening here. But other than that, the Steelers are getting ready for their first game against Atlanta with new coach Raheem Morris, and we're going to find out what happens in this game. It's looking like Russell Wilson has a calf injury. Not sure if he's going to start or if he'll play a little bit, and then they're going to include Justin Fields into the fray here. And the Pirates, they won tonight 9-4. They've been sort of roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. Lose 5 games, win 2. That can't happen. Penguins are getting ready to start up and real soon here. Chris Letang wants traded to Montreal because he wants to be in his hometown of Canada. And the Sidney Crosby deal's about to get done. Cam Hayward's deal got done. And we're about to get Pat Freiermuth, his deal done too, as far as that goes. And so far, that's my town.
All right, I'm going to add something to my town here in South Florida, and I'm really excited about what we're doing here, okay? Fire Up Florida is a show that I've actually been able to recreate into a hockey show with my co-host, Rod Peterson. I'm excited about some of the things that we're doing with it, and of course, the Motor City Madmouth are still doing a lot with that as well, just trying to figure out. I'm working on that with 2 platforms, but this show, Fire Up Florida, has the potential to do some pretty good things, and I have a guy who's as compassionate and energetic as I do, and he believes in planning. And when I told him that I plan about as thoroughly, he said, wherever you go, I go. And as Jeremy has found out, when you build relationships, which is what my book is about anyways, among other things, it's important to realize that these relationships are priceless. So I just want to give a plug out to Fire Up Florida. I'm working on building that. I want every show on this network to be strong anyways, but why not? I mean, I just love what we're doing, but I feel we have a long way to go.
Okay.
So there you go. Have a good Monday night doubleheader between Fire Up Florida and baseball, and Inside the Pigskin stands alone on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned baseball because that's where I'm going with my town. The hottest team in the major league right now is Detroit. Everybody said they should sell and trade away Skubal. Thank God Scott Harris didn't listen to all those fans that wanted us to trade him for 1 million prospects. Because guess what? They traded away Mr. Flaherty, who was a damn good starter, but he was the number 2 on this team. Skubal's gone 5-1, and in the bullpen days, because now they have 2 bullpen starts in that rotation without a valid number 2 starter, they've gone 3-2 in those starts that Jack Flaherty would have started, which, if you look at his track record all season, they'd have done the exact same thing. Because he's not consistent enough to win 4 or 5 games in a row. So kudos to Scott Harris to not folding to the pressure of fans and sticking to his guns, keeping Skubal, who he mentioned, as one of his core players.
Well, had he have done that, you know what, A.J. Hinch would have resigned. He'd have been done because he knew they weren't committed to winning. And A.J. Hinch said, you're not getting rid of Skubal. And you know what? Don't kid yourself. Trey Sweeney, who's been playing was a part of that trade. You know what? He's not doing too bad, so he's a cornerstone of that team. And I don't know what Flaherty's record is right now in L.A., but the Tigers, I've seen moves and I've seen moves. This certainly wasn't a make or break move. It was a pretty thought out, intriguing move. So more power to the Tigers.
Well, in that first bullpen day that was Jack Flaherty's start after the trade, the relief pitcher we got from the Dodgers, who hadn't played a inning for the Dodgers, was playing for the Great Lakes Loons right here in Midland, Michigan. Came in his start, struck out 2, and forced a ground out to take care of the side in order in the 6th inning in that bullpen start. So I'd say overall, the Tigers may have won that trade in the long run because they got prospects that show promise for the future of this franchise.
Well, but what you're saying is they may be more major league ready than most people give them credit for, because on the surface it looked interesting, and all of a sudden Sweeney's up within a few weeks from that trade. So Jeremy, are you sure you're okay right now because you're talking baseball? Or is there something wrong there? 'Cause I must be missing something.
And wait, Cole Keith has been batting almost 400 since
Oh.
this streak, since the All-Star break, with
Oh
an
my
OPS over 8 and a slugging percentage close to 1. What's going on with the Tigers? Oh, that's right. Baez hurt his back and can't play. We got better by subtraction.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say? What's going on with Jeremy Ballrick? He's talking baseball. Seriously? Oh my gosh.
And the new top 100 list came out, and with all the call-ups we've had, and if they take any professional innings, especially with so many at-bats, they can't be listed in the top 100 anymore, and the Tigers still have 7 players in the top 100 for next year.
Okay.
Good job. Good job. Okay, so my town isn't really happening in my town. And that's going to be one of my rants here tonight.
Uh-oh.
So the Green Bay Packers, as everybody knows, is traveling to Sao Paulo. They're the Brazilian soccer club Corinthians, the team turning over its stadium for the first NFL game to be played in South America, dislikes anything green so much that its executives tried to paint the field black about a decade ago. Players can be fined if they are spotted wearing clothes or shoes of that color. And sponsors need to adapt if they want to be associated with a club that has more than 35 million fans. It's all done in an effort to steer Corinthians fans away from any reference to local rival Palmeiras. They've been feuding for more than a century. On Friday, however, at the arena, will be awash in green when the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles play the second game of the NFL season in Sao Paulo. Why? I get the NFL is trying to expand. I get the NFL is trying to get audiences from around the world. But why would you go to a stadium that bans people from wearing green and put 2 football teams in that both are green? Come on.
Do you want to hear the craziest thing about it? So the Chiefs, the Eagles are home, and they're wearing their black helmets and white jerseys, and the Packers are wearing their home jerseys.
The Eagles are designated host team. In an attempt to sway some Brazilian fans to their side, they will wear the black helmets, white jerseys, and black pants, which are the Corinthians' colors. Now,
right?
Yes, Corinthians official told the Associated Press on Sunday that the move came after a request by its president, who claimed green was only allowed for visiting teams. So yes, the Packers will play in their traditional white, yellow, and green jerseys, similar to the colors of the Brazilian national flag. Now, there was a little bit of a hiccup here. Earlier on Thursday, the Packers made a gaffe by giving Corinthians goalkeeper Hugo Souza a Green Bay Packers jersey with the name of the Brazilian club on the back, which irritated many of its fans on social media because, of course, it was green. But here's my point, or part of my point. NFL, you're trying to get people to expand the NFL and to make more money. I get that. But the players have been told, don't bring your families over here because it's not safe. The players have been told to stay in their hotel until the team bus takes them to the stadium and go back and not venture out. So really, how much money are you really making? And are you really expanding? And are you exposing a bad city because you're telling everybody stay away only and players don't go out? Really, NFL? You couldn't have done better than this? There weren't.
I would rather than play in Mexico.
You could have chosen so many other places to play.
Yeah.
And until the AQI from that Amazon fire cleared up, they were about to make them play in Philly instead because the air quality was so bad. Come Sunday and Monday, they were talking about moving the game to Philly so it would have been played at Lincoln Financial instead. I wish they would have done it just to stop it all, and then everybody could have wore their regular jerseys, and there would have been none of this.
And then the NFL ends up with egg on their face.
But
then you're only you're putting it in this new country, and you're only gonna put it on Peacock, except for people that live in Philadelphia, Milwaukee, or Green Bay.
Well, let me tell you, if you're gonna drop the hammer in Brazil, you guys got to do it the right way. You're talking about when the Olympics were there in Rio, the water quality was bad, and they were there as well. So I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything compelling here to me that paints Brazil in a very positive way. And I'm not knocking the people up there. I'm just saying between this situation and the water quality, and yet Rio de Janeiro, I hear, is the first world-class city. So I'm not going to knock that. But, all the things that we're talking about are related, but yet, but at least in your case, Candy, the Packers didn't lose a home game over it. Philly did.
I know,
right.
But still, to take it to a city that it's not safe to go to, you're telling the NFL players don't go out of your hotel room. Don't bring your friends and family. I know there's still Packer fans that have gone out there, but really, NFL? And then you put it you're telling us not to go out there, and then you're only going to put it on a paid streaming service.
How much you want to bet they would have taken their friends and family to Rio instead of a Sao Paulo?
Of course.
Well, but that's subject for discussion later. Rio is a huge favela, and so is Sao Paulo. All right. I can't disagree with that, but who knows? Go figure. I love your rant, though. I think it's great.
I do too, Candy. That's being fired up.
I think it's appropriate coming from you anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm sure we'll hear all kinds of stories from down there.
And it's not so much gang violence. It has to do with the whole green thing. What they're worried about is them going out and running into the fans of that team. That's what they're worried about. Because guess what? All of your regular apparel that you can buy for the most part for the Packers and the Eagles, it's green. From the starter jackets to the jogging suits to the sweatshirts, the T-shirts. And I'm quite sure there's swimming trunks for those of you crazy enough to buy team-oriented stuff.
Exactly. Well, you could have put the game that's on tonight in Brazil. Neither of those are green. Kansas City Chiefs and the Ravens. And we have quite the same backlash. It still is not a safe city that they're saying, but really, come on. Really?
Yeah.
Well,
NFL really's got egg on their face on this one. That's bad.
You know what, Ralph? Yes and no. I mean, I get where everybody's coming from, but the NFL's expanding all over the place. For all we know, they may have a game in Israel one day. You never know if things ever clean up and it's not a war. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that it'll happen, but right now they're finding all kinds of places to promote the game. Who knows? Maybe the Detroit Lions will get out in Israel against the New York team. You got a high Jewish population with blue and white. I'm just having fun with this topic. But the reality of the situation is, while I am having fun with it, Brazil's an area where there is a vested interest out there. And recently the NFL assigned a team to a particular region about where they can promote their international brand. I don't know how much of that factors into that. We'd have to research it, but you never know. The NFL has assigned teams in a certain market, and that may have played into this decision to put these particular teams down there. I don't know, but it's something to think about.
Here, Candy, I'll give you an example here. The WWE, they have 2 pay-per-views a year in Saudi Arabia. Okay. And you know that when the women wrestle, they always wrestle in, some sexy garb. Well, when they're in Saudi Arabia, they have to cover up because of their laws there. And if anybody is, Arab descent or Saudi Arabian descent or whatever, they're not allowed to wrestle. So there's a lot of things with that, and it's a similar situation almost. Like I said with the WWE and the NFL with this thing in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. Well,
if everything just happened like I just saw, because I switched over for a second to look on the other page, Patrick Mahomes just threw a pick to Roquan Smith in the middle of the field where there wasn't even a receiver targeted.
Wow. Baltimore's for real with their defense this year.
Yeah, and Tucker missed a field goal prior to this, so.
Ooh. He never misses.
Yeah, but let me tell you one thing. When we talk about the opening game of the year, and it'll be more of a factor, okay, in a couple of years when they ultimately go down to 2 preseason games, that's what happens when you don't play your regulars as much as they do, and they're protecting them from injury, okay? That's going to happen. So that first week of the year, everybody's trying to work out the kinks and the rust and all that. And, I mentioned this once on Inside the Pigskin, and I'll mention it again. We talk about these teams practicing against other teams. Lions got dinged for a couple $100,000 doing it, or both these teams did. You know what? What are you going to do? I mean, nobody wants to go ahead and see three preseason games. So they're going to go down to 2 eventually with 2 bye weeks. That's inevitable. But that's what you're dealing with, Jeremy, when you're talking about a first game of the year, where a lot of those things that should have been worked out later in the preseason with more reps, that's what you have here tonight.
But at the same time, guess who started their starters for 2 games in a row for a quarter?
Who's that?
The
Kansas
Chiefs.
City.
That's okay.
So Andy Reid is a firm believer in that. That's why he does that. He doesn't do the dress preview in game 3 because there isn't a game 4 for that to happen. So he has to evaluate who he's keeping and who he's getting rid of in game 3. He uses the other 3 quarters each of the first 2 games and that third game to evaluate a depth of talent.
Yeah, but then we'll see what it's like when he's only got 2 games.
I know. It's going to get worse. Because that means he can.
That's my point.
And it's going to get worse across the NFL.
Right.
What they need to do is bring back a couple of key things. If you're going to shorten the offseason like they're talking about doing a ramp up to the preseason, not doing any OTAs or camps until June, and then you just play straight through the preseason into the season, they're going to have to do 2 things. They need to bring back 2-a-days. As much as everybody hates it, the guys were in better game shape with the 2-a-days since 2017 when they stopped it, when Corey Stringer had what happened to him with Minnesota Vikings when he dropped and passed away.
Well, let me tell the audience this. I covered the Miami Dolphins, Jeremy, Candy, and Ralph, when they had 3-a-days. And you know who the coach was? donshula.
Right.
You talk about working for your first NFL coach, and I work with donshula, and boy, they used to call it Camp Shula.
Well,
that's what I know.
Yeah.
As soon as 2-a-days stopped, soft tissue injuries increased by 33% alone, and then it increased by another 8% once they decreased the preseason games. Soft tissue injuries are going to continue to increase if they don't at least bring back the 2-a-days to get guys in game shape.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Your point,
Folks, I have to leave. My tablet's low on battery power, and I have to charge it. Don't forget to tune in Saturday morning, 9 a.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch for the External Bum Show with me, Ralph Williams, Scott Morganroth, Jeremy Balrick, and Leo Haggerty. And then don't forget October 5, Saturday, October 5, 2 to 3 p.m., the return of Sports Corner Radio with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier on 1250 a.m., 92.5 FM in Pittsburgh. The station's called The Answer. So, and I will talk with everyone next time. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
You're welcome.
But that's my rant about the whole shortened preseason and everything else. it all stems back to when they took away two-a-days when they caved to NFLPA pressure
Well,
because the players didn't want it.
Well, that's exactly what they did. They did cave to the NFLPA.
I know.
I know. But what are you going to do? It's not going to get any easier. Just be thankful you have the United Football League too, where you're producing a lot of these guys have had reps and you have more game film. So, the UFL has been an asset to the NFL. So I'm glad. I look forward to the day when there's a little bit more expansion. Maybe they get a team in Florida where I can get up and check out some of those games. Go ahead, Candy.
I was going to say, any other topics you guys want to discuss tonight?
Well, you tell me. I think it'd be interesting, college football. A lot of good games here. And, I think the only one thing I'd like to add to this whole thing is really, which is interesting. I found it hard for me to know that I was rooting for USC to beat LSU when they were in the Big Ten and that Texas is representing the SEC against Michigan. So I think some of these major conference things are going to go out there and I have to get used to them. So other than that, let's promote the book, Candy. That's what'll help us out a little. Go ahead. Do your station break.
Okay.
So, of sorts.
So last December, Scott wrote a book. We published it with the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. The foreword was written by George Eichhorn. You will see him from time to time on different shows on this network. But your usual host for most shows, except this one, is Scott Morganroth, the author of this book. He talks about his 40 plus years in the media business and how the industry has changed. He has some really good stories and he has some really good pictures. A young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple and Google Books. Get your copy today. There is also a link for it on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can also get a link for our merchandise. And you can read the writings of Jeremy, the writings of Scott. You can see some awesome pictures, if I do say so myself, that I take. But you can also get transcripts. So if you're an NFL junkie, we have transcripts from the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Lions that we post up regularly. We also have information about most of the Florida college football here in Florida. We get things from the Canes. We get things from the Gators, USF, FAU, and FSU. I don't know if we really want to be publicizing them right now because everybody's kind of down on Florida State University.
They are a little bit, but you know what? The bottom line is it's good to get their content because for a lot of our followers on Twitter, hey, they feed off this stuff. Yeah, they're having a rough time. I give you that, but you know what? Anytime you get content from a first place Candy is always good. Continue. Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's okay. There's a lot of good talent that comes out of Florida, so. Excuse me. Whether it's FSU, Florida Gators, Miami Hurricanes, USF, or FAU, all of that content that you can find on our website. You can also find content about the Panthers if you're into hockey. And then, of course, our shows. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, hit it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights on Fire Up Florida, we talk hockey. We also, on 108 Stitches Baseball talk baseball. Tuesday nights is our Inside the Pigskin, where we talk all things football. Wednesday nights is Sports Exchange. You never know what we're going to be talking about. We even talked about the hot dog eating contest last night. And then Fire Up is my show with Smokin' Jeremy B. And we talk just about anything. Like tonight, we even talked about Dancing with the Stars. Who would have thought? But mostly sports related, especially during football season. If you listen to podcasts, you can find ours wherever you get your podcast. I think I wrapped it there. I think. Any other topics?
Actually, I like this comment from Prosky Beer. I'm changing the name of the kickoff to the whack off. It's so lame. Tell me how you really feel. Obviously,
well, I still like these new kickoff rules better than the fair catch rule of last year. At least now we get to see some kick returns. Maybe when some of these special teams coordinators actually coordinate and get some plays together for this new type of format, we'll see some exciting thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
Jeremy, people
and
are just going to have to. You're right, Jeremy. People are just going to. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but people are just going to have to acclimate to it, and that's what. As I continue to read transcripts, Jeremy, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the one thing I'm trying to get out to a lot of our followers here on my, as well as yours, because you're very good about when it comes to sharing the content. Is I'm trying to get as much kickoff information to educate people about it. So good point. Continue on.
Yep. And the score update, Dwayne Keene just put it in there. Ravens scored it just before halftime. It is now 13-10. So it's one heck of a slobber knocker, but I warned everybody more than likely this was not going to be these teams scoring 30, 40 points against each other because both these defenses are very good. And offenses tend to struggle to gel at the start of the season.
Yeah, well, that what that reminds me of, Jeremy, how sometimes in baseball, your favorite sport tonight, because that's where you went with your town anyways, is a lot of times it takes the hitters a little time to acclimate to the cold weather early, and then they pick it up during the summer. And it's more, you depend on pitchers early in the year in baseball and then hitters later on. So that's a good point. Yeah, the first couple of weeks, I think that the offense itself does take a little while. So you're on point. Our XJ, hello, friends. Hello to you as well.
So I'm going to go back to the kickoff because I want to talk a little bit about that. They were talking before the game, before the Kansas City Ravens game tonight about that and how they think weather will play more of a factor in it this year because of the kickoff rules. They also think that in the beginning, more of the mediocre teams will do better and that this will really there'll be a big difference come the fourth week, because in the first 2 weeks, everybody's trying to feel each other out, how they kick, how the returns game is going, who you kick to, who you don't kick to. And so come weeks 4 and 5, I think we'll really see a big difference with this rule than what we saw before.
Well, not only that, though, think about it, Katie. We were up in Gainesville, Florida Field, Ben Hill Griffith Stadium, okay? And we're watching the old kickoff rules in college. So now I can compare the old and the new, and yet we have TBDs connected to the new, right? So, but it's interesting thing to see it both ways, 25 to touchbacks and that other business in between to where they have it set up. So, anytime you implement a rule change where there's a significant impact, it's going to take a little time to acclimate, and that's what the NFL is going to deal with.
Broski Bear, but if the kicker actually has the accuracy to be able to kick that low line drive kick that skips from the 1 into the end zone, the opposing team starts at the 20. So all that tells me is that the kicker is kicking it too damn hard. Right. He's not landing in the landing zone because they penalize the teams for not trying to catch it within the 20 to the goal line.
Yeah, but you said the two key words that most NFL people are going to have to get used to: landing zone. The only time that landing zone ever mattered to me was when I was flying to make sure we were on the runway, not the landing zone in the NFL. Remember that. And
I just wanted to add that in. There is a landing zone now for the
kickoff.
No,
I think it was appropriately added. How many times are you used to hearing the word landing zone in pro football? You're not until now.
Kicking it too hard, like I said, that's off. Not really, because before it came out to the 25, and then it was already coming out to the 30, I think after. They were already talking about making it come out to the 30 when they added the fair catch rule.
Right.
Yeah, and the NFLPA and the owners shot that part down. They didn't allow it. If it's a fair catch, it comes out to the 30. Because guess what? Nobody would have returned a kick last year if that was the case.
Well, the reality of the situation is, Jeremy, when you talk about it, at one point they were thinking about eliminating the kicking game anyways, and there's no way you were going to do that. So, it's like they've been tinkering with this as much as they've been tinkering with the Pro Bowl format as well. So they kept it in. And, look, the UFL doesn't even have any extra points. They have the extra 1, 2, and 3 points on it. So it'll be interesting to see what other things happen to it as well.
I did see the stupidest rule in the CFL I ever heard.
What's that?
If you miss a field goal by just pushing it outside of the uprights
Yeah.
for the final play of the game,
Yeah.
it counts as a point. So if it's a
Okay.
tie game and your kicker just misses, you get a point in the CFL. That's the stupidest rule I ever heard of in any professional football league.
Yeah, well, I tried to, no disrespect to our friends from the north, okay, but the reality of the situation is I've seen games where you had 60-1, and I tried to watch it a little bit before this year just to try to gain an understanding of the 2-down thing, and I was fighting with it, and I wasn't making it to halftime, but I really, really tried to acclimate, but I wasn't doing good enough. But when you want to see football, you want to scout players, which is what I like to do. I don't watch football at times just to watch the game. I'm interested about potential future NFL players. That's why you and I, Jeremy, are students of the game. We really, really are. And I know that when we were at the NFL draft, we had a very spirited debate about the two Lions.
And it's Rakestraw.
Right. And Darian Arnold, is that his name?
Darian Arnold, I didn't have a problem with.
No, I know, but we were talking about both, and I was telling you, Rakestraw, Jeremy, you're not seeing it a certain way, brother. I mean, they think this guy can be a physical hitter. They like him, but again, it's not me putting it down. It's just the fact that I've talked to so many coaches and have been in so many war rooms and stuff like that. And now that we're talking about the guy that we debated on, how is he doing with the Lions? Do you see the potential in this guy?
I see potential, but he is still like the fourth corner on the roster on the depth chart right now. Right now, it looks like Terrion Arnold is getting the CB2, Carlton Davis is the CB1, and Amik Robertson will be taking the nickelback duties. Right. They moved Brian Branch to safety to make it so that he can stay on the field more because he doesn't get enough snaps at nickelback.
So my question to you is this, okay? Do you see more potential in this guy now than you did when we initially spoke about it?
I said exactly what I said. I didn't like him in zone coverage that I saw this preseason, but I loved him in man coverage. Okay. He is good in man coverage. He's not good in zone still. I did see that, and it translated onto the field. It backed up my statement. I do like his tackling. I do like his man coverage skills. He's much faster than his combine time, much like Terrion Arnold was. And I pointed that out to people that was clamoring about it. Oh, we got slow corners again. We're going to get beat left and right.
Well, so the bottom line, it goes back to what I learned when I was covering the Dolphins that donshula taught me, and that's really carried over to a lot of coaches. Dan Campbell's doing what donshula preached. Play a guy to his strengths, and that's what's going to happen with this guy.
Right.
And that's why he'll be a factor. That's all I'm saying. That's why I brought it up in the first place.
I see it. I see him developing fine in a year or two. Yes.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
that's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's why we brought in the vets we did.
Well, everybody knows that the average roster turnover is 30 to 40% every year anyway.
Mm-hmm. So I want one nugget from the game tonight that's happened so far. Patrick Mahomes rewrote more Kansas City Chiefs history Thursday, replacing Len Dawson as the franchise's all-time leader in passing yards. Mahomes entered the season opener versus the Ravens only 83 yards behind Lawson, who passed for 28,507 yards in 183 career appearances with Kansas City. Mahomes broke that mark in his 97th regular season game. That tells you how much the game has changed and how much the passing game it has become.
Right. Well, yeah, you just said it right there. Back then, there was more balance in the run in the pass. Now it's pretty one-sided. That's what everybody wanted. That's what they ended up doing.
As much as they're passing now, I still think it's crazy that it was Jim Hardy, the quarterback of the Chicago Bears in 1950, that set the record, only trying 15 passes with 8 interceptions.
Wow. Well, once upon a time, Jeremy, I once thought that Dan Marino's record of 60,000 plus yards would never be broken. And now this guy who set records that were apparently unbreakable is probably like 8th or 9th due to the fact that the league has changed. And I'll tell you the thing about And not only that, I'll tell you one thing about Dan Marino, personal feelings aside, people that know me know I don't like the guy. But I'll tell you one thing, as an you have to be objective in this business, is he had the quickest release I've ever seen in my life, and he avoided sacks because of that quick release. I've never seen a quarterback ever, I swear, ever, that was quicker release as Dan Marino, and that's why he racked up a lot of yards, and it didn't hurt that donshula had a lot of great receivers in there so he could throw it wherever he needed to throw it, too. So there's the combination. But that quick release, Jeremy, I'm telling you, if you look at film, it was unbelievable.
Right. Oh, I know. Dan Marino's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. That's undeniable. As a person, meh. But anyways, when it comes to these records being broken, they're going to continue to be broken. Why? Because back then, when Len Dawson played, you had 12 games in a regular season. Now there's 17. It's increased 3 times since Len Dawson played the game of football. And every time it's increased, the passing game has become more and more prominent each time. And it's a passing league now. There's so many rules to help quarterbacks and wide receivers now. It's almost hard to defend them.
Yeah, and in a couple of years, it'll be 18 games. It doesn't matter. It will. It'll be 18. Did you know how many games the old USFL played?
They played 8 games a year, if I remember right.
No, the old USFL back in the 1980s.
Oh, that one was what, 4, 6 games, something like that? I can't remember.
The old United States Football League back in the 80s?
Yeah.
They played 18 games.
Oh, they did play 18. Okay.
Yeah, they did. They played 18 games back in. I covered the USFL championship in Tampa back then. 18 games. Can you believe? And they didn't have any preseason. And
right. That's why, 18 is the magic number. Well, and I'm going to tell you why. That's what the NFL has been pushing for a long time. And we're going to end up with 2 bye weeks. And if you actually look at how it falls down, there's going to be 1 week where it's the whole NFL, and then the other one's going to be that rotating bye week like we have now. You're going to have a set bye week, probably in the middle of the season, and everybody else is going to rotate from week 3 through week 15 other than that.
Yeah, but here's what everybody has to understand. When you got to 17, you knew 18 was inevitable, but you had to carve it out 1 game at a time. But in this case, it was different in terms of expansion. Candy, you getting a good education tonight from us too? I know she's enjoying this. So,
and also, when they lower the preseason games to 2, there's a reason. They do not want preseason and the regular season to exceed 20 games a season for the NFLPA. That's why, at one time it was 4 preseason games even when they had 14 games. That's because 18 was the goal to get to.
Well,
that's what it was all about.
Well, here, I'll even throw something else on your plate. By next Labor Day, they're going to have games 5 days leading up to it and after it. It's inevitable. They're going to take over Labor Day like baseball has a July 4th holiday. Auto racing has Memorial Day, right? And then the NBA has Christmas, although the NFL is going to get a piece of that action. The NFL has Thanksgiving.
And here's the crazy thing. When they do that, that means the Super Bowl every year should fall on President's Day weekend.
Yeah, well,
which means that Monday's a national holiday. The post office, all government buildings are closed, and most schools are too.
It's all coming your way, folks. We're giving it to you. Ballrick and the Motor City Mad Mouth tonight. We're giving it to you. Sorry, Candy. I know you're the host of this show, but sometimes it is hard for me to keep quiet from time to time.
And I think when they do that, they need to expand the rosters.
Well, they will. They will.
It needs to be expanded to a 60-man regular roster and a 20-man.
Well, they're going to do that. I mean, come on. If you're going to go out there and have 18 games, there's going to be more jobs. That'll be all part of the collective bargaining and negotiation to get you to 18. That's not a matter of what.
I think that's the perfect number if you think about it. With the number of added games and the number of added injuries over the past few years since they added the 17th game, adding that 7-man to the regular roster, and then adding another 6 to the practice squad, there will be no team without enough depth to be able to withstand injuries.
Bingo, bullseye, 2 Bs, like Bucky and Boots, bingo and bullseye. Oh, we're in a beast state of mind tonight on Fire Up. But we have a C who's the host of the show, Candy.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, and I think it's time for me to say where they can find me now.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, go for it.
Okay. Hey, I was just guessing. Well, you can find me right here every Thursday on Fire Up and occasionally on Tuesdays if Scott needs me. And who knows, after what I just dropped for my Town segment, I might get a shot to be on 108 Stitches again.
You know
But
what?
that be
I'm actually kicking the idea because you did show me a little bit of something tonight. I might give you a cameo on that after what I saw tonight. I was going to tell you that off camera, but you know what? I might consider throwing you in once in a while.
I just was throwing it out there. Just
Yeah,
throwing
but
it
now,
against the wall to see if it
but when
stuck.
you sat there and rambled off all that baseball stuff, this guy's trying to get airtime any way he can get it. And one way he might crash the party might be on baseball. I was surprised you went with Tigers of all things. Keep going. I mean, interrupt, but you did.
And then you also have my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com. You have my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, which airs on YouTube, Facebook, soon to be Twitter again, because I just didn't want to pay for the premium service. I got mad at Elon Musk, and I'll explain that after the show. But I also go live on Roku, Fire Stick, and Amazon. So I'm everywhere. 9 times a week on my own channel.
The guy gets around. Yeah, the amount of shows that you do, my voice would be worn out by now. It's already been worn out after 40.
What times are your shows, Jeremy?
I have from noon to 1, Monday through Friday, which is Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. It's 9 times out of 10, just me by myself. Every now and then, my co-host gets to have a day off and join in. Then we have my Monday night mashup with him, where we talk Lions and Giants news. On Wednesdays, we have the NFL Roundtable Talks, where we do the weekly pick'ems, where I pick every game in this NFL schedule. It's not against the spread. It's just a pick'em, people. And then on Fridays is the Lions Fan Cave chat. And I was doing Sundays for the NFC East, North and East Power Hours, because we got fans of other teams in both divisions, and we talk about the news throughout the week. But now that the Lions play this Sunday, I think I'm going to have to cancel my show, because I'm not going to be talking live on a Lions show.
Well, I'm sure that's going to really break your heart. Seriously. But I don't even say it as loud as I have, because I have to make sure we protect these bad boys, because I do have plans to do some public speaking next year.
Yes, you do.
So I have to make sure.
I'm proud of you for being here for over an hour and us just bullshitting back and forth, Scott.
No, that's fun. Jeremy, it's fun. And by the way, you sick them head, you forgot to mention one thing. You're in the book. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I am. I am in the book. Towards the back half of the book, when he talks about people he's led into the business, he mentions me and what I've done. And I also have read the book, and I have left my review without even mentioning myself on Barnes and Noble.
Well, you earned your way in the book, and I ended up finding you from a doormat place, which I don't even know if they're even in business anymore. If they are,
they're still around. They just suck.
Yeah, I'm not mentioning any names. I don't want to do that. But the bottom line is, I created Grand Larceny, snapping you up from there, and it is what it is, and I'll leave it at that. So, but good stuff. Yeah, I love talking football, talking sports, and Candy, with all due respect, does an outstanding job on this show. I'm proud of what she's done. She's remarkable. She really is. Am I biased? I don't have to be biased toward the woman. If she makes mistakes, she'll hear about it like anybody else. But the bottom line is, she's a very coachable woman who does a lot for this network, as well as the publication, with her commitment towards making sure the written stuff is in there. And of course, the show, and now she's playing with these reels things. Don't even think I even know how to do that stuff. I just pawn it off on her to do it if I come up with an idea. So, but Jeremy, but with all due respect, this was a good show on Thursday night, and I'm glad we have it on Thursday night, because people are going to give you updates. And our goal is, Candy's going to come up with her own style, and I like what she's doing. I just got in the mood to come on tonight, which is what I did. So, well,
you're welcome anytime.
Always.
Thank you.
Always, boss man. I miss talking sports with you.
Yeah, it is. So meanwhile, I don't know how much football I'm going to watch tonight. I know Bucky and Boots are waiting to come out here and hang out with Mommy and Daddy. I'm sure I'll watch a little bit, but at least it's close enough to know that the game isn't in doubt quite yet.
Nope, that's anything but. So
there's one thing I do want to mention that the Chiefs did very classy tonight when they talked about their 4 banners, is Chad Henne, that he was out there and got to go ahead and be part of the opening ceremony for those of you that don't know much about Chad Henne, he's a former quarterback at the University of Michigan. So Chad actually retired after that Super Bowl, and he went out on top. He wasn't a starter, but he won a key playoff game. Anytime you win a key playoff game, you set Patrick Mahomes to win it. The Chiefs handled it the right way. The only question we'll all have about the Chiefs, as you'll find out on our networks, is are they going to be in Kansas City? Are they going to be in Missouri? Are they going to be in Kansas? TBD. We'll throw that teaser out there.
Kudos to Chad Henne doing something one of the greatest backup quarterbacks never got to do.
What's that?
And that's Ryan Fitzmagic. He never got to win a playoff game for any team he played for. Chad Henne got to win one when Pat Mahomes went down. Led a 96-yard drive to put him in the Super Bowl.
Well, the last time that I remember of any significance that happened was many years ago during the Dolphins' undefeated season. Earl Morrall was the one that carried the ship when Bob Greasy went down, and Bob Greasy finished the job. So there's a little bit of for you Dolphin fans that are watching the broadcast. You know what? With all due respect, I know a lot about the fish there as well. Go ahead.
And then prior to that, Don Shula was coaching a little upstart team called the Colts that had Johnny Unitas, who got hurt, and Earl Morrell won those two playoff games to put them in the Super Bowl.
Don Shula's not stupid. I was joking around the other day that I hope that Bill Belichick likes his time in the media so that Don Shula's record of being the all-time winningest coach will stay. And Pat, call me a little bit more of a Don Shula guy, but then again, I worked with him for a couple of years and learned a lot from Coach. So, I mean, for those of you that want to reach us, I can tell you stories about him in my short 2-year period. And I attribute a lot of that to my good buddy Chip Namias, who's also in the club. So, there you have it.
It's been great. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. All right, well, there we go, Candy. All right, Go ahead, Candy. Take it away.
Jeremy, you always get to end our show.
Okay. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here within yourself. Much love to everybody in the chat. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, God bless. We appreciate the chat room participation. It's been outstanding.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Good night.